Toby Keith for you. How we doing? This is the first show of a new installment here on the Pittsburgh Sports Castle Bucscast here. My name is John Bosco. Here with the founder, Joey Sinella. Joe, how you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm also here with Alex Yerke. Alex is going to provide a little input with us tonight. Alex, how you doing?
I'm doing great, John. How are you?
Hey, let's not forget to mention Basis for Woji right here, making it big.
That's true, yeah. Support your local music.
Absolutely.
Thanks for the plug.
Guys, so we're all here tonight to talk some pressing issues around town, right?
Oh.
A little Bucco talk.
All these trades, right? That's what we're here to talk about. A little preview of the season, see where they're going to finish up, how we think they're going to play out.
It's a little
right?
touchy subject still for some people.
For some.
So, let's get to the bottom line here, jumping right at it. How do you sell this team to the fans this year after losing guys like Andrew McCutchen and Garrett Cole, players who were just loved by the hometown fans?
Integral parts of the team, right? You know,
lost your face of the team in Kutch.
Okay, but McCutchen's sabermetrics. The advanced metrics don't lie. Andrew McCutchen's been going downhill since his MVP year. Can you argue that?
Try explaining that to a diehard Pirate fan
if they're
who doesn't care about sabermetrics and just sees a franchise player leave the Pittsburgh Pirates.
I wouldn't call them a diehard Pirates fan if they don't see what's going on during games.
Yeah, you have to have some sympathy for them too.
It's an emotional thing. That's all it is.
Were you at Pirate Fender?
Yes.
Did you hear what the fans had to say about that?
Were they happy about it?
Are they real fans?
I believe
might be misinformed.
They might be misinformed. I'd say
upset.
so.
No, I think they're just upset.
It's emotional. But I mean, when you look past it. Maybe not the McCutchen trade, but you look past it for the Cole trade, and the return they got back was pretty substantial.
I think the biggest thing fans had a problem was not the trade itself. It was the fact that what could have been had the Pirates built more around McCutchen and Cole. And I mean, Cole might just not have been a good fit for Pittsburgh. I don't think he was just developed well here.
I mean, that's an interesting topic you bring up, and it brings me to like Pirates management. They always want to blame it on them for not bringing guys in. The core was there. They extended Polanco. They extended Marte. I mean, they extended Gung. They had Liriano until they traded him. These guys were the core. And now we got to look. They just didn't pan out. It's not their fault. They spent money on the team.
You can't exclude McCutchen from that core, though, regardless of his declining sabermetrics. He was the face of the team. You could look at a team 2015, 98 wins. He's the centerpiece of that team.
Yeah, I mean, you put it this way. You look at McCutchen brought baseball back to the North Shore, and he brought a bunch of he brought the younger fans out to the ballpark. He got them excited about baseball. He got them excited to come watch the Pirates, and I feel like now like that magic's gone. I feel like it's hard to rebuild that sort of connection with the fans now at this point.
That's why it's so emotional. I mean, you could argue that the reason they didn't get over the hump last year is Garrett Cole and Andrew McCutchen. What did they do to provide a winning team last year? They're within 2 games in August. What did those guys do? Your figureheads. What did they do to help push you over the hump and get you in contention? They didn't do. I know they didn't have a supporting cast, but what did they do to get you over the hump? Not much.
But what do you have this upcoming season that gets you over that hump?
You got to bank on guys like Polanco not pulling his hamstring every couple of games, or Marte getting suspended, and then you got to bank on some of these guys they brought in. I'm a big proponent of Colin Moran, Joe Musgrove. These guys are going to be the new guys. They're going to be the guys you build around in the future now.
Let's hope Musgrove getting shut down the other day during his bullpen session isn't anything too serious, though.
It's got to be pretty precautious. I don't think there's much going on right off the bat. I mean, he had some lingering issues last year, but I don't think it's anything to bat an eye at.
I just still don't understand how the Pirates can attempt to sell the team that they're going to field this year. I mean, compared to rosters previously, I mean, you had opening day rosters with Neil Walker, Josh Harrison, Starling Marte, Andrew McCutchen. Now, none of those guys are on the team anymore except Starling Marte, and I just feel like that competitiveness isn't going to be there, especially with the tougher NL Central.
Hey, but that's not the point. Those guys didn't produce when they were expected to produce. That's what didn't get them over the hump. Garrett Cole's 10th in the league, in home runs allowed last year with 31. How'd that help the team at all?
We're talking about we're comparing teams between then and now. We're talking
Okay, but
back in the day.
It's an emotional
years ago,
standpoint. There's an emotional appeal. That's why.
Obviously, yeah, there's still the emotional appeal, but obviously there was more talent with that team than the team that's going to be going out there on opening day this season.
See, I'll take the guys they got back in the Cole trade any day. I don't think Cole was a good fit in Pittsburgh. I like Musgrove. He has mid-rotation stuff, and a chance to be even better than that. Feliz touching triple digits in the back end of the bullpen. Colin Moran's a guy, and many pundits around baseball have said it. He could be a 25, 30 home run guy year in and year out. Jason Martin, add him to the depth in the minor leagues. I mean, they got a nice haul, whether people want to admit it or not, for Garrett Cole.
You mentioned,
and they're going to help right now.
You mentioned the minor leagues. Do you think this is the season we see Austin Meadows make his debut?
Yeah, but I mean, the reason you haven't seen him so far is because he's been injury riddled, and then when he has been healthy, what's he done? Nothing. But I mean, he's only 22 years old. Give him some time. It's not like he's been sitting in the minors for years now. As like an aging veteran.
Pirates were always a team to always let their prospects saturate a little bit in the minor league system before bringing them up to the big leagues, haven't they?
I mean, yeah, you could agree with that. I could agree with that.
You think
Walker, Kutch, Alvarez.
Do you think it's time they look past that to some point and just find some raw talent and just give them very little time in the minor league system and say, hey, kid, just here's your shot?
I feel like Alvarez ruined them. I mean, they brought him up right away, and he hit, 198, 4 home runs the one year, and then comes back up, hits 30 home runs the next year. That's what they brought him up. They brought him down. They brought him down. And I think that's what ruined Neil Huntington a little bit. That's your first guy that you're trying to bring up, who's your top prospect, and it doesn't really.
Well, his rookie year, he played pretty solid. He hit 256.
Yeah, but I'm talking the year after. I'm
homers.
not talking his rookie year. I'm talking the sophomore year, the sophomore slump when he hit 198. Then you bring him up, you bring him, put him back down in the minors.
Yeah, they had to work with him a little bit, but he was still a consistent starter for the Pirates for a couple winning seasons.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I mean, Neil Huntington even quoted himself and said maybe we brought Pedro Alvarez up a little bit early. I mean, I think that's something that's in the back of their mind with these guys now.
You can look at that certainly with Tyler Glasnow.
Yeah, and he's another good example.
Yeah, you're right about that. That's another thing too. These pitchers, I mean, everyone that's the Pirates have promised us over the years, they got to bring these guys up. I mean, I want to see Meadows too this season. I want to see him debut, and I want to see him live up to his potential and everything that he was. Pirates have talked about him.
Tons of what ifs this season. You got a young rotation: Chad Kuhl, Trevor Williams, Joe Musgrove, James and Tyone, and then throw in Ivan Nova in the mix.
Supernova.
That's a selling point.
Yeah, they get your bobblehead.
Get your bobblehead today. Young rotation. They had their moments last year, some growing pains. What are you looking for them this year?
Plenty of upside. I mean, at the end of the day, if Musgrove can stay healthy, he's got a power arm, good sinker, good off-speed stuff. His stuff will play at PNC Park too. I mean, Tyone's going to be at the top. Nova can't pitch the way he had the last couple of years. Comes in 2016, dominates. Starts out 2017, dominates the first 2 months, then falls off, tails off. He's got to be consistent throughout the year. That's going to be a major key. It was last year when they were lingering in the division a lot. If they had a Nova pitching well, Cole pitching well, McCutchen playing well, who could have happened last year? A lot of ifs, like you said, about this year's team too, but. Also, it's a lot of it's going to rely on that rotation, and Nova's got to step up. He's going to be that AJ Burnett type of pitcher now.
You got Trevor Williams, arguably the best fifth starter in the league last year. After that horrible start against the Dodgers, where he gave up somewhat around 8-10 runs. After that, he really turned it around, pitched very solid.
His first start, right? That was his first start in the big leagues. Near it. It was near it.
It was early in the season.
Give you the benefit of the doubt on that one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, speaking of the pitching, the bullpen. I'm a big proponent of the bullpen. I think it could be Shark Tank 2.0.
I knew you were going to say that.
We know what we have in Felipe Rivero.
Nightmare.
Over 100 miles an hour.
Lefty
shutting him down, but what else we got in the back there?
Yeah, he's got to get to the closing spot to get all those saves to get in the game. The Pirates going to be up by the 9th inning to see Rivero in the games this season.
Well, I mean, hey, I think there's more offensive than you think, but I mean, let's on the bullpen topic. I mean, you got George Contos, a veteran who's been around the block, pitches well. Kyle Crick, whether we want to admit it or not, came over in the McCutchen trade. Another power arm.
He's Pittsburgh's last name too. So
that's always a plus. Then you got Feliz, who I mentioned before, 100 miles an hour plus. I mean, near 100 miles an hour in the back of the bullpen. Neveroskis is another guy. Santana. I mean, there are a lot of power arms in that back end. I just don't know who that lefty's going to be. If it's going to be Brault. And somebody to compliment Rivero. Obviously, Rivero's not going to come in the 6th inning to get a lefty out. You're going to need another piece in that back end, and I don't know if Steven Brault's that guy or not.
Obviously, it looks like it's a lot of depth that you just listed, but do you think the talent is there in the depth to get the job done mid-innings situations?
Absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of power arms. A lot of power arms who are going to shut it down, and that's what you look for in the back end. And A.J. Schugel is one of those guys. He had an ERA under 2 last year. I think a lot of people miss out on that. They don't realize how well he pitched for the Pirates last year.
Offensively, what do you think has to happen for the Pirates this year? Who has to step up, in your opinion?
Well, there's no doubt about it. I mean, it's got to be Polanco and Marte. Those are the two main pieces. They're the fabric that's going to have to lead this team. I mean, the core's still there that they invested in, other than McCutchen and Cole. Those guys have to produce. Marte, obviously, got to lay off the juice. Polanco can't be running down the first and pull his hamstring. These guys got to hit, and they get hit well all year long.
We talk about Marte's potential a lot. He's entering his age 29 season already. Of course, you mentioned the suspension last year when he came back. Didn't play great, not terrible, just subpar, I'd say, coming off an all-star season in 2016. Do you think he can regain his form?
I don't see why not. Before he got hit with the suspension, wasn't he on pace to steal 40 bags? If he can get the bat back, which I think he can, that's not easy to be sitting out 50 games and then come back and instantly expect to turn it on. I think, with a full offseason, spring training here, I think he's gonna bounce back and have a pretty decent season. Polanco's the big question mark, though. Can he stay healthy? Is he gonna finally live up to his potential with the bat? I mean, other than that left field spot, I know they got Bryce Brent's today. But I think it's Adam Frazier's job to lose. This guy's a legitimate leadoff hitter at the top of the lineup with a solid OBP, doesn't swing at pitches. He's not that Josh Harrison guy that's going to just be a free swinger and strike out all the time. I mean, he gets on base, draws walks, gets hits. So that's a big plus.
Speaking of Josh Harrison, do you think, what do you believe in the trade talks surrounding him recently?
I mean, there haven't really been any...
Or do you think, you've read obviously of... Jay Hay expressing his desire to be traded.
Yeah, I mean, if they don't expect to win. But, I mean, the front office has reiterated time and time again that they expect to win now. And...
I don't buy it.
You don't buy it?
I don't buy that at all.
I don't know, but I will say this. Even if they do expect to win, and I think they're going to compete more than people think.
It's going to be tough, too, in the Central this year.
Well, that's true, but I think Harrison is the guy. He's expandable. He's expendable. You can deal him. He's a free swinger. Doesn't hit a lot of home runs. His OBP looks good last year because he got hit with a bunch of pitches. But he's not that guy who's going to get on base for you. He's going to have a nice little average, and he's a shaky glove in the field too. I know he's versatile. He'll be a good fit for another team, not the Pirates.
The veterans the Pirates have now, and I guess you can call them veterans, players who have seen playoff games. You have like Marte,
Nava, World Series. Don't forget it, 2013.
Veteran
league team.
Pirates players. These guys have to step up this year too. Obviously, I think they just need They need to be good. They need to be good role models in the clubhouse. Marte needs to, as you said, lay off the juice. He needs to. They need to mature up, and they need to rally around these guys. And they gotta find it in them to get it motivated and try to get some wins out there.
More consistency behind the plate too. Francisco Cervelli looking to play more than 80 games this year.
Let's hope he's not a walking piece of glass, right?
Double play hitting, walking piece of glass.
Okay, but if he's healthy, we've seen it. 2015, right? He hits a little over 300. I mean, the guy can frame pitches too. Pretty good, pretty decent at throwing runners out.
Fan favorite as well. Can't forget that's Amore.
That's Amore, right? Little in between innings, dating advice. Can't beat it.
Yeah, that's how Nutting's gonna bring fans out to PNC this year.
I'm telling you, they're gonna do it with wins, and they're gonna win more games than you think.
Wins and
I look at the team last year. When they were supposedly in it, they were still under 500. This was in July, August, pretty weak NL Central at the time. The Cubs, of course, ran away with the division as we expected they would. I don't think the Pirates, you couldn't call them a good competitor last year. They were just benefactors of a good or weak division. I don't see how this improves this year when the division seems to be getting stronger.
Okay, here's something interesting. I know everybody wants to point to Bob Nutting when they talk about Freeze. When they talk about Freeze's rant when he came into camp, and they want to talk about Huntington. But I think that it's more of a bash on those guys that left. I think it's more of a bash on McCutchen and Cole. He's talking about the clubhouse atmosphere. It wasn't a winning environment. Those are those kind of guys, those figureheads, the face of the franchise. They're supposed to be the guys that set the winning atmosphere. They set the tone. And I think a lot of that goes on their shoulders, and he might have been alluding to that, whether we want to admit it or not. The clubhouse atmosphere has nothing to do with Nutting or Huntington. I mean, can you disagree with that?
And you see a guy like Andrew McCutchen hits a walk-off home run, gets pumped. Garrett Cole, he always looks angry on the mound. I think these guys want to win. They've won before, and they can definitely contribute to winning teams.
Well, he's talking about leadership in the clubhouse. Where's the leadership from those guys if they're your figureheads?
The leadership was there. McCutchen brought...
But why is he calling it out then?
Because obviously it's a problem now.
You can't. I mean, that's the thing. He's not talking about Nutting or Huntington. He's talking about the clubhouse atmosphere. I don't know if it could be a shot on her.
I think it has to go back to. It goes back to management. I think you can relate it to that.
That's the easy way out. He's talking about the clubhouse atmosphere, though. It's the guys who are in the clubhouse.
Look at guys doing stupid things like Gung and Marte and Polanco not staying healthy. I mean,
but I'm pretty sure didn't he say in the interview that they're losing to the Cubs 10-2 and to Joe Madden, and the guys are laughing in the clubhouse. That's not a winning atmosphere. What's Andrew McCutchen and Garrett Cole doing then?
I feel like now because like McCutchen's gone, Cole was gone. It's like you don't really have like that that big name player like Washington. You got Bryce Harper, you got Mike Trout on the Angels. I don't think
the Angels aren't good though.
I mean, still you always have that one player on the team who's going to be competitive, and I feel like there's not that person on the Pirates right now.
Where's the threat in the lineup other than Josh Bell?
There's no threat, yeah.
You guys know I love to bring it up. I'm telling you, Colin Moran might live up. He's going to live up to his potential. I don't know if it's going to be right away, but the guy, like I said, as pundits have said, he's got
track record.
But right now,
okay, it doesn't matter.
Now, if you look at baseball and as a whole, if you look at the Yankees versus the Pirates, it's David versus Goliath. Look at the rosters in comparison.
Yeah, but are we going to see the Pirates and Yankees this year? No. I mean, we're going to see a lot of the Cubs, Brewers, Cardinals. And I know you can compare, like, they brought in Yelich, they brought in Ozuna. But, I mean, there's a lot of talent on this team that management invested in. And we're just looking past it. There's been some bumps in the roads, but this is the year that they're all going to have to step up. Those Polancos, those Martes. Tyone's going to have to take a bigger role in the rotation now.
I think even if Starling Marte hits above 300, hits 20 home runs, and Polanco hits 25 home runs, how does this team win more than 83 games this year?
It's going to... Let me compare it to this. When the Pirates were competitive in the first half of 2011, right? It was the rotation that carried them with a lot of no-name guys. I think there's at least on the MLB, on the national stage, there are a lot of guys in this rotation now that can compete in games, like a Chad Cole who gets it up around triple digits 298 after he ditched the sinker. I mean, Tyone, like you said, Williams at the back end at 5, Musgrove if he lives up to the potential, the mid-rotation guy, power arm. I mean, there's a lot of depth here that can happen. Like you said, there's a lot of ifs, but I mean, there's a lot of talent here.
There's too many ifs to sell this team on me. I don't see depth in the field. You could look at a guy like Jose Ozuna as a pinch hitter, a guy coming off the bench. Other than that, who are you going to look at? Sean Rodriguez.
How do you sell it to season ticket holders, too? How do you, after 20 years of losing, have a few years of winning, and how do you tell fans, hey, gotta wait for that to happen again, but come on out, let's see the Buccos play?
I'd like to think that these fans are a little bit more informed than it's just something that's simple. Like the framework is there now; it's in place. Third base, there hasn't been a true third baseman in Pittsburgh since Aramis Ramirez for a couple of years before they traded him to the Cubs. I think that's a spot that could be solidified now for a couple of years. You got Bell at first base. Polanco's still young at 26 in right field. Marte, like you said, is 29, getting up there for baseball age-wise. I know he's entering his prime, but he could be around for a while with the contract he's on. Tyone's another guy who's going to be around for a while. The framework's there, and this is what's going to push you into that the next playoff run, whether it's this year, whether it's 2019, whether it's 2020. The framework's going to be there now. It's going to be in place for a while. There's a lot of control, and that's what I think the Huntington was looking for this offseason.
Sounds like the planets have to align for this to all come to fruition.
Did somebody say playoffs?
Jeez. Hey, you never know, right? What were you thinking in 2012? You know what I'm saying?
I remember seeing an article. I saw an article headline recently. It said Pirate mentioned the Pirates catching a wild card spot. And just like I just can't buy that. I mean, you see teams like the Brewers and the Cubs who are investing for winning the division. They want to win the Central.
The Rockies and the Diamondbacks last year made it to the wild card. Better than the Pirates are looking this year.
Right. Yes,
that's all talk.
Exactly.
About the Pirates hitting a wild card. That's all talk. That's all. It's nothing. Nutting, Huntington, Hurdle, the players. They're not going in there like, oh, we're gonna win the wild card. They're going in there and they're expecting to win games. They're not. I don't care.
I don't think they're expecting to win.
I think they're expecting to win games. They're going in there and they're expecting to win games. That's all I know. And I know Hurdle, he might not be the best X's and O's coach in the league, but he's a good motivator, and I know he's got them pumped up expecting to win games this year.
You want to talk wins this year? What do you think the Pirates' record's going to be looking like at the end of the season?
What do you think? What do you think, Alex?
I'm looking at 73 wins this year. I just see a team that just has some holes in it, a young rotation, some iffy players in the field like Marte, Polanco. Will they stay healthy? Will they produce? You got a guy like Harrison. He doesn't really get on base that much. Might get dealt. You got a guy like Josh Bell. Might run into a sophomore slump. You never know. I'm not trying to look at the worst case scenario here, but it is the Pittsburgh Pirates. What have we had to deal with the last couple years with Jung Ho Gang?
3 UI.
You got a guy like Francisco Cervelli, can't play a full season to save his life. It's just so many ifs. And you can't sell this team to me with that kind of lineup.
I'm going to say I'll give them 70 wins on the year. I feel like we see the debut of Austin Meadows. I feel like that dies down after a little bit. Ride that out for a while. I say Jay Hayes gone by the end of the season.
I hope he's gone before the season even starts. Just toss it out there.
As do I. I just feel like it's just going to be a rebuilding year, and the Pirates know that too. I feel like they don't expect too much. I feel like obviously they're going to win some games. I just feel like it's
new era of Pirate baseball. Really,
it is, but it's here and it's it's MLB ready.
And you can't expect them.
Payroll.
Oh, jeez.
You can't expect them to win too much during this first rebuilding year.
Not a whole lot to get excited about.
All right, I mean, on my end, I'm going to say it's Big Data, Moneyball 2.0. Is this going to be the year? I don't know. But the framework's there. It's a nice mesh of veteran players, some younger guys, and all these guys are MLB ready. Outside of Meadows, who might come up at some point, the core has been there, and they've played in meaningful MLB games. Clint Hurdle brought up a good point the other day. At the end of the year last year, it was kind of a tough stretch to get through, but these guys got meaningful innings. They played in meaningful games just to get the big league experience, and that's going to carry over. And I think, especially, and I like this bullpen a lot. I like the trade they made of Cole for Cole, getting the comeback. But I could see them ending up in the mid-80s somewhere, pushing for the wild card. It might be a stretch, but I think there's a lot more talent on this team than you guys think, and I just like the mesh, and I think the framework's in place going forward.
We're gonna get wrapping this up, guys, but I'm gonna give this. We're gonna leave this on one final thought. I want to give one little remark of optimism going in onto the season. Any aspect of Pirate baseball, whether it be PNC Park or the Pirates team. Alex, what about you? What do you give me one to end the show on one positive remark?
Well, I mean, nothing beats to see a Pirate game at PNC Park, which I still think is the greatest stadium in the MLB. Good old summertime baseball is just the best time of the year, but be a little bit better if we could see a winning team. I'll be optimistic, but I'm not going to expect a whole lot this year.
Joe?
All right, like I said, Shark Tank 2.0. The framework's there. Just keep the hope. Even in times when it looks bad, just remember 2013, 2014, 2015, they had bad Aprils. The team doesn't really get out of the gate that well. But I'm saying stick with them. The framework's there, and let's see how they do when they start playing the games. Talk is talk.
I say I'm looking forward to the early season stuff, prices of tickets. Obviously, it's so fun to go out and witness the atmosphere. Nothing
Buck
beats
Night.
Buck Night. You
Oh,
have
they
that.
got rid of that, didn't they?
Did they?
I think they got rid of Buck Night.
That's a shame.
Yeah.
Hey, that's because they know people are going to be filling seats when they start winning games. They don't need a Buck Night anymore.
Let's hope.
Oh.
It was great talking with you guys. It was a great first installment of the show, I believe. And I hope this happens again sometime soon, right?
Oh, yeah, we'll be back.
We'll be back
Keep a
next
lookout.
time.